Black Ram 313 with another video. In the shadows. Today's topic is quite a different one for the In the Shadows series. The title is In the Shadows, Hidden from Women. Now, I've never done a video like this before where I speak on being in the shadows and also dealing with women simultaneously. Why now, Ram? Well, no line in therapy. The reason why now is because I've always wanted to be noticed by women. But now that is the lowest of low in my priorities. I'm still a man and we still like women, of course, and this will always be true. But being noticed by them has become less and less of a priority at my age and dealing with the current culture, the current situation that is dating in the matrix in America. And I realize in this day and age and at this time, I'd rather pay to play anyway. Concentrated on how things are, not how I wish them to be. So in this video, we're going to go through some talking points about being in the shadows and being hidden from women. Listen, see if you can relate. But I do understand that this conversation is not for everyone. So turn back now if you're not a shadow dweller. So let's get it. My first point. In the past, trying to attract women influenced most of my decisions, if not all. Decisions like what type of car to drive. That's a big one right there. There were times in the past that I would pass on a small, reliable car, like a Toyota Corolla, to get a used car with more miles and more problems because the Toyota Corolla was small, like a girl car. And it certainly wouldn't attract women. In fact, it may repel them. So what I did is bought the more expensive but less reliable, bigger car. And what did this do for me? I end up spending tons of money on a vehicle to try to keep up appearances. And the vehicle wasn't even all that great. But instead of buying that little bitty Toyota Corolla that's reliable, that I could afford, I decided no, because the ladies wouldn't want to get in a car like that. Bondage, ignorance, those were the things that you involve yourself in when you are trying to impress, when you're trying to attract, when you're trying to appease, when you're trying to gather the attention of the Babylonian beast. See, buying a Toyota Corolla is a smart move, an intelligent move. And if the Phoebes had any sense, they would see and understand that, oh, he bought a Corolla. Reliable, good on gas, saving money. More money to save, more money to invest. But no, the creature doesn't think like that. Doesn't understand sacrifice, doesn't understand delayed gratification, doesn't understand the idea that you work hard now so that you won't have to later, doesn't understand that you grind now and that it'll be greater later. In the shadows now, dealing with women. So I lost a lot of money. And that's just one example in my neighborhood growing up, and even as a young adult, and even now, we oftentimes, some of us at least, make decisions, big financial decisions based upon, will we attract a lady? Can we attract her? And we live our lives based upon that. What an ensnarement, what an entrapment, what bondage, man. Men live their lives based upon what women like. Men evaluate each other based upon what women like. If you do the things, dress the way, and act the way that women like, then you're considered cool. Notable among men based upon how women perceive you. If they perceive you in a great way, then you will climb the social hierarchy of men based upon women. Now you have to ask yourself, if that's the case, then who is in control of that hierarchy among men? It's certainly not men. If one is subjecting himself to the thoughts, opinions, and ideas of women and basing one's value, worth, and placement within the social hierarchy based upon what women think is attractive about you or not. Whew. Again, what bondage. And it's so deep that this is the reason why you have all of the personality stuff with the dating coaches. Holding masculine frame, sigma this, alpha that, beta this, beta that. All of the personality stuff, because you have to have a certain personality to attract the ladies, and based upon that personality trait, or at least expression thereof, or at least the acting as if you have such, if it leads to positive results when it comes to mate selection by the ladies, then you're considered great among men. Think about that notion. And of course, certain clothing is considered lame because the chicks don't like it. Try walking up to a B-dub wearing an anime t-shirt, a Marvel comic hat. The B-dub will not take you seriously wearing a Batman baseball cap, because that's considered by the B-dub to be juvenile, nerdy, and goofy. Not that it is. It's a personal preference, personal choice, personal style, personal taste, personal interest. But you can't walk up on the B-dub with an anime t-shirt on. Now, this is not the case in other countries. This is not the case with Southeast Asia. This is not the case with European ladies in other places, or even European ladies in America. But in the B-dub world, in culture, you have to have specific clothing that they find attractive, or clothing that they find suitable and acceptable. And of course, the only clothing that they find suitable and acceptable are the high-end name brand clothing. Gucci, Louis, and you know all of the others. But the issue here is that as a man in the shadows, we don't care about those things. We are masculine men, not fashionistas. Now, if you are a guy that's into fashion, there is nothing wrong with that. However, we understand that being into fashion to a degree is a feminine trait when it's carried in extremes. This is well known. This is why a lot of times in pimp culture, you will see them looking very feminine. And this attracts the ladies. The pimp with the fur on, with the nails done, with the jewelry, with the fancy clothes, the nice cologne. Nothing organically wrong with those things. But one of the reasons why pimps always seem to be feminine is because they were so fashionable. But in the shadows, we don't care about fashion to that degree. Clean clothes, neat clothes, fitting clothes, clean shoes, groomed is as far as we will go. Black Ram 313, his style is a minimalist style. Walking through the streets of Southeast Asia and America, Black Round 313 has walking shoes on. Nothing wrong with gym shoes. I wear gym shoes too. My feet needs a break from shoes that don't have an air bubble in it. But 9 times out of 10, Black Round 313 has a walking shoe, not a gym shoe on, not a basketball shoe, not a tennis shoe, not a running shoe. One thing I like about Jay-Z is he talked about how, as a grown man, your clothing is supposed to match your environment. You wear flip-flops, yes, to the beach, to the pool. You wear gym shoes, yes, to the basketball court or even the barbecue. Out and about, there's a thing called a walking shoe. If it's winter outside, then you wear a boot. Let the item fit the occasion. So Black Round 313 will have on a walking shoe. Brown and white. Black Round 313 will wear a maroon colored chino, also known as khakis, and a plain black t-shirt. A simple watch, beard lined up, bald head, shaven, with or without a baseball cap. That as far as my fashion goes in the shadows. Now my shoes are clean. My shoes are oiled. Yeah, genuine leather needs to be oiled up. The pants I have on, they do fit and they are free from wrinkles. The shirt I have on is clean and free from wrinkles. The watch I'm wearing is under $200, but it's in good shape. Fashionable. The earring in my ear, left side only, small diamond, inexpensive. Again, beard lined up, bald. Maybe a baseball cap, or maybe not, depending on the weather. In the shadows. Not wearing the chains, not wearing the jewelry, not wearing those things that attract not only women, but robbers. See, that's a hell of an investment to make, to be trying to allure women. Now, if you're wearing jewelry, hey, nothing wrong with that. But we're talking about in the shadows now. One thing that will attract attention, one thing that is antithetical to being in the shadows is wearing jewelry, especially big pieces, because you don't need to attract thieves, robbers, gazers, lookers. And we are in the shadows with women as well. The next point I want to make is that truly being in the shadows means not living for women. This is the reason why this video is here. I couldn't make it years ago because still, although I'm in therapy, so much of my life was still dependent on attracting the ladies. But if my clean style, clean walking shoes, fitting outfit that doesn't have name brand tags on it, my simple watch, my lined up beard, bald head, and baseball cap can't attract them, then they won't be attracted, because I will no longer live life, make decisions, spend money to attract the modern 304 when you can just go in PAY for a whore. Think about it. And this is one of the things I like about traveling. Women in foreign countries, they don't care if you have on Gucci or Louis. That's for you and the robbers. You got expensive glasses on and expensive shoes and expensive clothes on. That's not going to do them any more for attracting them than a guy like me. If I'm standing next to you and you have on $5,000 worth of clothes and $6,000 worth of jewelry, she doesn't care anything about that in these foreign countries. What they care about is the money that you're directly spending on them, not what you're spending on yourself. They're very practical in these other countries. The ladies. And that goes for intelligence. But in the West, it's all about pretense. My point is that shadow dwelling is even easier in other countries, although you stand out as a foreigner. But back to my point, truly being in the shadows means not living for women or even trying to please them, not even for a second. So if you want to wear the anime t-shirt, being in the shadows says that you do so without worrying if you're looking displeasing to the ladies. Next point. At this point in my life, I do not mind being ignored. It used to bother me being ignored by the ladies, man, because I'm not over 6 feet tall, because I don't have striking looks, because I'm not a baller. It used to bother me because I have an insatiable appetite for swimming and women. And the older I have become, the less attractive, at least it seems, that I've become to the ladies. No lying in therapy, for whatever reason. But at this age, I don't mind being ignored, especially in the West. I'm truly shadow dwelling. Again, Eastern women don't care about the cool in you. They care about neat and clean. Being ignored in the West is probably a beautiful thing. Her rejection is God's protection, as we say. Because you might be doing the wrong thing. You might be living the wrong way if you are attracting the fee beast in America. Because something about you has to be Babylonian in order to attract the Babylonian beast. Something about you has to be worldly. Something about you has to be superficial. Something about you has to be phony to attract the phony, the superficial, the worldly, and the pretentious. Like attracts like. This is why the beast loves Thuggo so much. It's a mirror and a reminder of the dysfunction and chaos that she has in her. And this is why they're literally dying to be with Thuggo. But for you, it's not so. Because you're in the shadows. You're a thinking man. You're an intelligent man. You're a wise man. You're a careful man. Intelligent man. In the shadows. The next point I want to make is that the purpose of living in the shadows is to be more self-focused. Being into self and not worrying about the thoughts, the ideas, and the doings of others. This is why I'm not in the cool club on YouTube. As a man, I'm a Sigma. As a man, I'm the lone wolf, the tiger, the jaguar, the panther. Well, what are those animals, Ram? Solitary is what they are. Don't get me wrong. My dream is to be able to fellowship with like-minded brothers, to hang out in the pack. But once that is over, I'm in my own world, living in my own head, doing my own thing, and not caring. See, I can't care about the things that everybody else care about. Fashion, celebrity, those things aren't as important to me because I'm self-focused. I'm in the shadows, man. Trying to live a certain lifestyle. My style of fun, which is simply this. Dealing with ladies and researching esoteric thought, knowledge, and ideas. That's my joy. I'm not saying it has to be yours, but I've always been more of a cerebral person instead of more of a, how can I say, worldly or outwardly experiencing person. Meaning that instead of being social and into social interactions and social conventions and social gatherings and being social and up on social cues, although I can be that, I prefer to be in the background. I prefer to be in my home alone. I prefer to be in my home with the company of one lady. Maybe one today and a different one tomorrow, but still one-on-one. I am not going out to the clubs, going out to the bar. being seen of men type of person. I'm the low key chill. I'm in the shadows. And in being in the shadows, the last thing in the world that I could care about is the thoughts, opinions of others who may think that the way to live should be X, Y, and Z. And that includes even religiously. I am not a follower. I'm a loner. I do the research. I draw my own conclusions. I don't leave it to others for leadership and direction, and neither do you. We can come together and peer review thoughts and ideas, which is the whole idea behind Black Realm 313. This is why I'm always asking you brothers questions. And this is why I'm always prefacing my thoughts and ideas by saying you may disagree because this is no hierarchy. See, we're mostly Sigmas here. And if you're Alpha, I'm not mad. But we're Sigmas here. There's no leaders. What we do is we conference with one another. We bounce off ideas with one another. And we go back to living in our own world. In the shadows. The next point I want to make about being in the shadows with women, and this is one of the reasons why it's better to deal with foreign ladies. This is why it's better to pay to play. Because your average lady cannot stand an introverted man. I'm going to say that again. Most women, the average woman, cannot stand, specifically in the West, they cannot stand an introverted man. Let me explain. See, in the West, it's about dancing, it's about partying, it's about being seen, it's about flossing, it's about flexing, it's about materialism, it's about consumerism, it's about being seen, it's about being heard, it's about views. It's about how much money you can flash, not invest, not save, but what you can stun on, to use an older word. And this is the entirety of the female mind. Pretense, illusion, and being phony. This is the reason behind the fake hair, the makeup, the filters, the nails. Phony baloney, man. Want to be seen. Want to be outgoing. And I've never been the outgoing guy. I can be. But that's not my natural habitat. And I'm only social when it's necessary or when I deem it so. Other than that, I'm in the shadows. I am an introverted man, and they can't stand an introverted man. Most females are extroverted to the extreme. They want to dance. They want to be seen. If they're with you, you're dealing with them, they want to be seen with you. They want to be at the bars and the clubs. They want to be at all of the family gatherings. They want you to be social. The B-dub does not like quiet guys unless you're thuggo. Almost like you have to be a clown to appease them. I met a nice looking chick, man, that I was really excited about a while back. Pretty little red bone. And as we were conversing, although I didn't get a chance to meet her in person, she abruptly stopped talking to me. And her reason was, as stated, not that I stuck around and found out, but read it in a message. She said, since I didn't have an Instagram or a Facebook account, that she wasn't interested. As if I'm trying to hide myself because I'm not on social media. Now, a 20-year-old I can understand. If she's 20, 21, 25, 27, and she said that, I understand. It's a social media age, and the young folks are all over social media. But this lady wasn't 20. If she was 30, I can kind of understand. To a degree. I'm like, kind of too grown for that. Not everybody needs to live their life on social media. I've had the same job for 20 years plus. I don't need to be on LinkedIn. In the 30s, I can kind of understand that. 40s, you from a generation that it wasn't all about that. But she wasn't 20, she wasn't 30, she wasn't 40. She was 50 years old, telling me that since I didn't have a social media presence, that such was unacceptable for her. And that's extroversion for you. That's the West for you. That's the mind of the beast for you. Presumptuous. It needs to live its life in front of the eyes of the many. The next point I want to make, and this is no diss at all. I walk in my own lane, I do my own thing. But remember, not only does she not like you because you're introverted, you're a Sigma, but remember, females prefer pretentious alpha males. Now, don't get me wrong, they can find a Sigma attractive, but it takes amount of intelligence for a female to find a Sigma personality attractive. The Sigma only appeals to an extremely small percentage of women. They like the alpha males, the guys who beat their chest and tell you how tough they are. And I've never been that way. Even growing up on the west side of Chicago in the 90s where gang culture was at its peak, it was rocking. This is when the Boys in the Hood, the Minister Societies, and all of those movies came out, the New Jack Cities. We talking about 88, 89, 90 through 95, 96. And I'm not dissing anyone who claims alpha, but I just wasn't raised like that. In my neighborhood, if you were a gangster, you could be quiet. When it came down to showing your gangsterism, we all knew if you had it because you've shown it before. It wasn't something you had to promote, talk about, and act like. In fact, all of the guys in the neighborhood who walked around acting tough, they would get their cards pulled. Because one thing we knew is that if you have to broadcast how tough you are, if you have to broadcast how alpha you are, if you have to promote how alpha or how tough you are, 9 times out of 10, you are not. Now, don't get me confused. I have alpha male brethren out there, and I believe they're the genuine article. So this is no beef. Salute to the alpha males. I'm just painting a picture of the difference between the alpha, the sigma, those who seek attention, and those who are away from attention, those who are in the shadows versus those who are in the light. Alpha, you need to be in the light. Sigma, we're in the shadows. And 9 times out of 10, the female, because she's extroverted, is going to prefer the alpha male. And that's a whole different world from me. See, tigers and panthers and wolves don't worry about other animals that run in packs. They walk away from crowds and do their own thing. I'm just showing you the dichotomy that exists, and this is no diss. But females prefer alpha males, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather pay to play anyway because they're not worth the headache. The next point I want to make, and probably the last, just a refresher and a reminder of how to live in the shadows. I've been embarking on an endeavor, a new one, of learning not to speak to people in general. This is something that I have had to learn and I'm getting better at. Now, I have to say that it's a terrible thing. It's not a good thing that one has to learn, especially at my age, how not to speak to people. I have to learn to be dismissive and rude in a sense of not speaking first, regardless. I have to adapt with the time and the age that we live in. See, you have to live based off how things are, not how you want them to be. I was always the type of person that would speak to the crackhead walking down the street. Now, sometimes it would be disastrous because they think that since I looked them in the eye and spoke, that means that they could offer me services or products. But I've always believed in treating every human being as special and every human being with dignity and such. And that starts by speaking, acknowledging your humanity. And I did that because it's the right thing to do, regardless of your station in life. The drug addict, the bum, the person sleeping in the streets. If I'm walking past you, I'm going to look you in your eye and say hello. But most of the world ignores people like that. And that extends to everybody that I walk past. If you make eye contact with me or if we in proximity with one another, I'm going to say hello. I'm a nice guy. Humanitarian even. Looking at every human being as valuable, regardless of your religion, station, orientation. Even the ladies. But I realize the world that I live in now, I need to be even further in the shadows and not speak to no one, because speaking, when there was a time that even though I spoke first, I would get a reply. Now people are so mean, so rude, so nasty that even if you speak first, they won't speak back. Now, I don't know what spirit that is. I don't understand it. And I don't need to understand it. But what I need to do, what I will do, is treat everybody around me as if they don't exist, as I've been treated as if I don't exist in the public my whole life. Now, when you're in other countries, it's a different story. They speak to you, they say hello. In other countries, I was so unused to use the word not being spoken to. Sometimes I couldn't get my words out because it startled me. So I would stumble over my words. Somebody would say, hello. Oh, hey, how you doing? Stammering and stuttering. Why? Because it was so unexpected. Because in America, especially ladies, especially women, they would ignore you. White men would stare at me like I just robbed them, although I have on a hat and glasses and don't look like Thuggo. So white men wouldn't speak. Black men would look me up and down like they're ready to get me. So black men and I wouldn't speak, although I would try to speak to them and they would look at me like I did something wrong by speaking, or that me speaking to them is aggressive. So that would leave the ladies, and the ladies would ignore me. So in America, it's best not to speak to anyone at all, in my opinion, unless being spoken to. The only exception I would make is the elderly. But I see that it's necessary because of the climate that we live in to go even further in the shadows and act as if no one else exists when I'm out in the world doing my shopping, going to the grocery store, going to the mall, going to get gas. Only speaking to the clerk, the gas station attendant, or the cashier at the grocery store only if they speak first, because so many times I've walked into a grocery store or into the gas station and the clerk couldn't even speak. Of course, we know this is mainly the B-dub. But this is just the nature of the beast. This is just the way that we live here in the West. Mean and evil, uncaring. The love of many have waxed cold. People don't even have common courtesy anymore. And that's fine because I was never a people person, but I am a people person to the extent that I see that every human being is valuable. And I still believe that. But everybody has a chip on their shoulder, so I need to dwell even more in the shadows. And now, although I don't want to, in the West, I have to ignore everyone. Because I have to admit that in general, most people are not nice people. Most people are not courteous, especially women. And maybe this is their way of not wanting to be approached. Although I don't do any cold approaching anymore. They wanted to be left alone, so I will leave them alone. So living in the shadows, dealing with women, takes on these forms. No cold approaching. Only speak when being spoken to first. And that goes for the cashier and the clerks, especially when it comes to the B-dub. Again, the only exception is the elderly. But in my life, what I have left of it, I want to make the best of it, being less social, paying to play instead of doing this game, playing this game of personality this, personality that, playing this game of you have to wear this and you have to wear that, chasing this and chasing that, a large energy expenditure that's not suitable for one such as I who lives in the shadows. I no longer feel the desire to take the time to court a woman, to try to get to know her, to take her out to eat, to take her out to dinner, to try to impress her, to try to wear the clothes and the jewelry and all the other rituals and hoops that she wants you to jump through in order to impress. I'd rather travel and pay to play. But what about relationships in those places? Ram organic ones. They're there. And they can be obtained with a little bit of work that I'm too lazy to do. Yes, I am too lazy to court overseas. I just happened to run into a lady in Thailand that is now my little Thailand girlfriend. We met online, and I didn't meet her when I was there because she was playing this game, this ritual of you need to come and meet me and take me out to eat. Yes, even in Thailand. But I didn't play the silly game. I just ignored her because I just chose to pay to play. And I was busy doing my pay to play because it's easier. Don't have to worry about the pretense and all the interaction and the impressing. Hey, flat rate, we come and have a good time. You give me the what is called the girlfriend experience. And I go on about my business. And I'm happy pretending that you like me. I'm happy with pretending that you're my girlfriend for the pay. I'm pretending, and she's pretending, and I'm still getting my emotional needs met because it's all pretense anyway. Why do you say that, Ram? Because we know that females can't really love you any damn way. So this is why I pay to play. However, I did meet a modest looking lady, scale of 1 to 10. She's probably about a 3 or 4. My only real standard is that she's not overweight. So she has a chubby little face. Maybe I'll do a video when I go back. Chubby little face on her. But she's thin though. She's not overweight and she's short and she's a nurse and she's nice. And once I left Thailand, she kept messaging me and reaching out to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, she seems pretty interested. And, you know, she was working and couldn't make it and wanted me to jump through a few hoops to meet her. So now she's changed her tune and says, hey, I'm your girlfriend. And when you come back, I come stay with you. Okay. Okay, Nurse Bay. And I come back to Thailand, you come stay with me and we'll do our thing. We'll start our little relationship. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm down with that. But you see that no huge effort had to be undertaken to get such a thing. It's one of those things that just happened to me, which is unusual, highly unusual. But it just happened. And I'm fine with that. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to pay to play. That does not mean that I'm going to take this lady seriously and all of this other stuff. I'm going to enjoy my time with her. And that's going to be the extent of everything because I'm in the shadows. I'm free from looking for wifey. I'm free from all of that. I'm going to enjoy their time. I'm going to be short-sighted with every interaction I have with the woman. I'm not looking 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. Today only. This interaction only. Today. And this is how I'm dealing with women. In the shadows. And maybe you can take cues too. But not seeking attention. Not jumping through hoops. being quiet, not speaking unless being spoken to first, which is what a woman is supposed to do. Stay tuned for another show video coming soon. But I'm in the shadows, man. Don't need approval from anyone. Don't need acceptance from anyone. Don't need the attention from anyone, specifically the ladies. Pay to play all day. It's just easier. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still human. Would I like to meet a beautiful lady who likes me organically and is all into me and is sweet and affectionate and not after the little bit of money that I have, accepts me for me, loves me for me, is supportive, the sex is good, she's beautiful, she listens to me, doesn't give me any problems, no disrespect, rubs my back, rubs my feet, serves me, is happy to see me, easy to talk to, understands me, wants to live in my world, go off my dictates. Sure, I want that. And sure, I'm a damn fool in dreaming, thinking that there's a place in the world where all the things that I just mentioned is possible. It might be for you, but I've never found that unicorn. I'm in the shadows dealing with women. Black Ram 313 for In the Shadows, a series exclusively for the Patreon page. Hope you enjoyed it. Give me your feedback. Again, this is the first time I've done an In the Shadows video and spoke about women. Do you realize that? And I'm doing it now because I'm fully detached from seeking attention from the subject. Living my own life. And for the first time in life, I'm not worried about, nor am I trying to solicit attention when I walk down the street from women. I've accepted that I'm invisible to women. I'm okay being invisible with women. And I'm almost at the point where I even prefer it. Why? Because there's always an option to travel and pay to play. Black Ram 313, I'm out.